Waters that swallow cities, civilizations that vanish, gods who punish, men who begin again. The flood myth does not belong to the Bible alone. It crosses continents, languages, and millennia, like an invisible wave washing away the memory of mankind. From the clay tablets of Mesopotamia to the Popol Vuh of the Maya, from the Vedic scriptures of India to the oral traditions of Aboriginal Australia, nearly every culture on Earth speaks of a time when the world drowned. But what lies behind this universal story? Was it a metaphor, a memory, a warning? In this video, we follow the trail of the flood myth across civilizations. We explore its esoteric meanings. We ask why these waters always return, to cleanse, to punish, or to restart the wheel of time. Before Genesis, before Moses, before the idea of one God. Along the Tigris and Euphrates, the ancients told of a flood that nearly erased humanity. Not the story of Noah, but of Gilgamesh and Utnapishtim, the man who escaped death because he listened. The Epic of Gilgamesh, over 4,000 years old, is humanity's oldest known literary work. It speaks of the longing for immortality, the fear of forgetting, and the terror of the flood. Why did the gods flood the world? Because mankind's noise disturbed their divine sleep. Not sin, not evil, just too much noise. But one God, Ea, the trickster and the wise, breaks the rules. He warns Utnapishtim not directly but symbolically, speaking to the walls of his house. A metaphor. Only the spiritually awake can hear what is not said. Utnapishtim builds a boat, not a typical ark, but a cube, symbol of the sacred earth. Inside, his family, artisans, seeds, animals, knowledge, all of humanity distilled into one vessel. For 6 days and 7 nights, the storm roars. The ark rests atop Mount Nisir, and Utnapishtim, upon exiting, offers sacrifice to reconnect with the divine. He releases a dove, then a swallow, then a raven, not just birds, but symbols of the soul, of hope, of return. The raven finds land, because rebuilding doesn't start with the ideal. It starts with instinct, with shadow. As a reward, Utnapishtim and his wife become immortal but are exiled to the edge of the world. They are not celebrated. They are witnesses. Those who've seen the world die can never fully return to the one world of the living. And Gilgamesh, hearing this story, understands immortality isn't found in the body. It's in memory, in legacy, in the name that outlives death. The Mesopotamian flood is not just punishment. It is a test of who listens, who remembers, and who builds their inner ark. The true danger is not water. It is forgetting. The flood, above all, is a collapse of consciousness. Part 2, India, Cycles and the Sacred Boat, 5:48, 8:17. In India, the flood is not a punishment. It is a transition. Time is not linear, but circular. Everything dies to be reborn. The waters are not enemies. They are midwives of new worlds. In the Vedic tradition, the first man, Manu, is washing his hands in a river when a strange fish speaks to him and warns of a coming flood. This is no ordinary fish. It is Vishnu. In his Matsya avatar, God in aquatic form, Manu is told, build a boat. Take with you sages, animals, seeds, and the sacred texts, for what must be preserved is not flesh, but knowledge. When the waters rise, they do so not in chaos, but in ritual. Manu ties his boat to Vishnu's horn, who guides him to a sacred mountain, and as the waters fall, a new Manvantara, or cycle of humanity, begins. Here, the flood is not the end. It is the pause, a comma between cosmic breaths. Water symbolizes Maya, illusion. It dissolves form to reveal essence. Manu's boat, like Noah's, is the vessel of consciousness, that which sails through ignorance and doesn't drown. In ancient China, the flood is not a divine punishment. It is nature's test. The rivers overflow, the skies rebel, the earth trembles, and no prophet comes. Instead, an engineer arrives, Yu the Great, son of an official, chosen to tame the waters. But Yu does not resist the flood. He listens to it. For 13 years he walks the land, mapping rivers, carving canals, redirecting flow. He doesn't conquer water, he flows with it. Not a hero with a sword, but with a shovel. When Yu finally returns, his own son doesn't recognize him. He has changed, shaped by the Tao. As the Tao Te Ching says, nothing is softer than water, yet nothing overcomes it. Yu becomes emperor, not by blood, but by virtue. Because in Chinese thought, to rule well is to understand the invisible forces of nature. The flood here does not destroy the impure. It reveals the unprepared. It honors those who can harmonize with chaos. The world, China teaches us, doesn't need miracles. It needs wisdom. In the Americas, water is not wrath from above. It is the blood of the earth. In the Mayan Popol Vuh, the gods create three kinds of man. First from clay, too fragile, then from wood, functional, but soulless. These wooden men eat, reproduce, but cannot pray. They forget their makers. So the world turns on them. Rain of resin, talking animals, stones that crush. Even their tools betray them, not because they were evil, but because they were unconscious. Among the Inca, the flood comes to wipe out a race of giants. The creator god Viracocha walks across Lake Titicaca and speaks the new world into being. Creation doesn't begin with land, it begins with word, divine consciousness. In Hopi tradition, we are living in the fourth world. Each prior world ended, in imbalance, one in a great flood. Only those who listened to the ant people beings of the earth's core were saved. They lived underground, surviving on silence and humility. When they returned, the world was ready to begin again. The Hopi flood is not just external, it is inward, a descent into the unconscious, the womb of transformation. Those who do not descend do not return reborn. Here, the flood is not once but cyclical, a test, a reset, a spiritual reminder. When man forgets his essence, Earth remembers and reacts. Now we return to the old world, not through history but through mystery. Atlantis, as told by Plato, was not just a tale, but a memory passed down from Egyptian priests, an advanced society, technologically, spiritually, politically. The Agib sons of Poseidon ruled, temples of orichalcum gleamed, heaven and earth were in harmony, but something broke. Wisdom gave way to pride. Knowledge lost its sacredness. And as if the cosmos itself corrected the imbalance, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea in a single night. This was not punishment. It was spiritual implosion. In esoteric traditions, Atlantis represents the peak of human potential and the danger of arrogance. When knowledge is no longer guided by wisdom, it turns in on itself. The flood in every myth is not just about water. It is about memory, about forgetting the sacred, and about returning to it through humility, harmony, and awakening.